Okay, you're good.
Sorry, guys. It seems to me that nobody could hear me, and that seems to be a recurring thing. So my apologies for that. I really thought everything was checked before I came down, and yes, I should have double checked it. But there you go. I was already running a bit late, so I didn't. And it seems that you guys couldn't hear me. And so these personal soliloquies seem to be more frequent than I would like them to be, but I'll have to do something about that. But anyway, what I was actually talking about was that I don't know if you guys have ever read this book or heard of this book by Spencer Johnson. He's passed, but he wrote a number of books. And I remember this title catching my attention and my curiosity. Like I don't even know. I think I was pretty much fresh off the boat to Canada at the time, and I remember thinking, what? Actually, no, I wasn't. I don't even remember. But I do remember that this title caught my attention because I'm like, what do you mean by who moved my cheese? And the very first pages I was showing when I was talking to myself, it's a quote by Robert Burns, who had said, the best laid schemes of mice and men often go astray. And I remember this line is pretty famous. We quote it often when things go awry, right? I've caught myself saying several times, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? Or the best laid schemes of mice and men. But what is it about the best laid schemes of mice and men? And what happens when they do go astray? And what really happens? Is it what happens, or a lot of it is based on what we make of what happens? And I'm not trying to make this about I'm so glad it works now. Thank you. I'm so sorry. But I wanted to talk about this who moved my cheese bit, because sometimes when the doors that we're so invested in walking through close, sometimes we feel like we're actually booted out of those doors. It is a big deal. It doesn't feel good. And yet sometimes I think what we consciously, with all of our knowledge and experience, put into play, sometimes it doesn't factor in that there is a bigger play in motion. And the door that is appearing in front of us may be the best gift that we are able to walk through now. And I'm not trying to make light of somebody's livelihood feeling like it's at risk. What you count on to be there all the time, when that goes away, when that is threatened, it's definitely something that turns everything upside down and causes a lot of emotions to come to the fore, right? What I'm talking about, however, is that when your cheese does get moved, is what you make of it. What corridors you turn to find where there may be a bigger and better supply of cheese, and maybe new cheese, right? And maybe it's not even cheese, maybe it's apples, who knows? But the point that I'm trying to make is that what may come up as a result of somebody having moved your cheese, or the cheese having run out, whatever the case may be the very thing that your life needs to reinvigorate and re-energize everything around you, not just your career, but everything about you. Because I don't know if this resonates, but I do know that even with me saying all the time that I like to live this vibrant, full life all in, I jump in with both feet, I like to have fun, there are sometimes some periods when I get so caught up in the everyday that the vibrancy is not what my focus is on, and it becomes more of a status quo. And that's usually my signal to look at things and see, what am I missing? What's too complex? What do I need to simplify? Case in point, that like what I've been talking about the last while, right? With added things on my plate, I said this to somebody that I feel like some days I feel like I'm moving so fast and yet I'm not moving fast enough. Like, seriously? Fast enough based on what? And fast enough based on whose needs? And if I'm focused on a particular need of a particular someone or someone's, then that is the priority. Once I address it, once I weigh the pros and cons of the things that compete for my attention, I can actually narrow it down, and then I can address it systematically. But when I try to address multiple things at the same time because I want to move so fast, that's when things usually feel like I'm caught up in molasses. Has somebody moved my cheese in the past and even in the present? Several times. And nowadays, I actually feel like it's something I want to thank them for. Because without somebody moving my cheese, so without me sometimes moving my own cheese, things don't always get to live to their fullest. I am so committed to my own potential being something I'm always aspiring to. One of my main things is to move the obstacles or help move the obstacles from the path of as many people as possible so they can live their fullest lives and reach for their potential, their dreams, help them translate those dreams so they can actually achieve them, and then go for bigger dreams, constantly aspiring to something more beautiful, something that allows their creativity to be called in all the time, and yet balanced with the enjoyment of life, so we slow down enough to appreciate what we are creating, and with that appreciation bring a different creativity, maybe more creativity, maybe a richer experience to whatever it is what we are doing. And so this makes me wonder, what does this have to do with the Phoenix Project? And the Phoenix Project, every day I look at it and say, oh, this is now something that has come up to the fore because of where my attention is on it. Because of the way I'm looking at it, whether it's the page, whether it's, what do I want to give people, even the ones who don't go through and answer the questions, because my intention, my true desire is to help people going through that experience, allowing them to create that space around them so they can pick what really fits them best, what allows them to showcase who they really are, and to design their lives around what fills them up with joy professionally, right? Because in doing that, I believe everybody wins. So I'm going to leave you with that thought about, and if you haven't read this book, do look it up. I think it's fabulous. And perhaps in a later session, maybe on a later show, we can actually talk about the story of Who Moved My Cheese, because I think it's a pretty cute and fun story. So simple in its design, so simple even in its narration, that you would think it's a children's tale, but so deep in the insights that it brings that honestly it's kind of crazy. At first I'm like, as if, right? But the insights it brings are not just for your career or your profession. They really could be like they're about your life, of which your career and your profession and your business is a part of, right? So that's why so many people swear by it, having changed their lives. And that's not a small claim, is it? Somebody saying, oh, this little itty bitty book changed my life. But apparently, so it does. So I would invite you to actually pick up a copy and check it out and tell me what you think. But it's been fabulous. Oh my goodness, Vicky, so good to have you here. Yeah, I read, actually the funny thing is I actually read its sequel that before I ended up reading the actual book, but the message is so cool. What's with the time change? There isn't actually. We're still going live on Thursdays, but I decided that the Phoenix Project is so close to my heart and I want that message to get to as many people as possible. So I'm going live every weeknight for the time being, just because I want people to share it. I want people to spread the message, not because it's my message, but because it's everybody's message who holds true for choice and who wants to look at the gift in something that doesn't look like an opportunity. In fact, it looks pretty dire and threatening, right? And see what amazing thing can we create from it, and how many people can we support who can look at their life and say, oh, best thing ever. That's my thing. So that's why we're going live every weeknight at 8:30 Eastern time. So I'm really glad that you're here. And is it so much easier this time? Well, there you go. See, Vicky, it was meant to be. I was terrified to do it every weeknight, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it. So I'm doing it, and I'm really glad it works better for you. And thank you. I think it's pretty amazing that you're here. And I truly believe that if there is a need for this message to be out there, helping people who may feel like their choice is being taken away, and for us to create something amazing out of something that doesn't feel so good right now, then hey, that's exactly where it's going to be, out further and further. So with that, I'm going to leave you with those thoughts, and I'll see you. Hope you can make it tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, and Australia 10:30 Friday Brisbane time. So with that, have a great day, evening, wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon.